Shattered vows, burning vengeance. Part 1, the betrayal that broke her. The day everything fell apart. The morning sun painted the grand rose estate in golden light. White roses lined every pathway, and silk ribbons danced in the gentle breeze. Emma stood in the bridal suite, staring at herself in the mirror. Her wedding dress was perfect, ivory lace with delicate beading that caught the light. She had dreamed of this day since she was a little girl. "You look like a princess," her mother whispered, tears streaming down her face. Emma smiled, but her stomach churned with nervous excitement. In just 1 hour, she would marry Marcus Wellington, the man she had loved for 3 years. The man who promised her forever. "I need to check on something," Emma said suddenly. "I'll be right back." She gathered her dress and walked down the hallway toward the groom's preparation room. She wanted to surprise Marcus with a gift, his grandfather's watch that she had restored. As she approached the door, she heard voices inside. Laughter. Then a woman's voice that made her blood run cold. "Do you think she suspects anything?" It was Sophia, her best friend and maid of honor. Emma's hand froze on the doorknob. Her heart began to pound. "Emma? Please." "She's completely clueless," Marcus replied with a cruel laugh. "She actually believes I love her." The cruel truth unveiled. Emma pushed the door open. The sight before her shattered her world into a million pieces. Marcus and Sophia were wrapped in each other's arms, kissing passionately. Sophia's bridesmaid dress was half undone. They broke apart, startled. For a moment, nobody moved. Emma felt like she couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't understand what her eyes were seeing. "Emma," Marcus started, but there was no panic in his voice. Just annoyance. "What is this?" Emma's voice cracked. "What are you doing?" Sophia smirked, adjusting her dress with no trace of shame. "Oh honey, did you really think this was real?" Emma staggered backward, her hand pressed against her chest. "Marcus, tell me this is a mistake. Tell me this isn't happening." Marcus straightened his tie, his handsome face twisted into something ugly and unfamiliar. "You want the truth, Emma? Fine. Sophia and I have been together for over a year. The only reason I proposed to you was because my father insisted I marry someone respectable to improve our family's image. But I love you," Emma whispered, tears streaming down her face. "We were about to get married." "Love?" Sophia laughed, a sharp, cutting sound. "Emma, you were always just a placeholder. Marcus and I have been planning this for months. And guess what? I'm pregnant with his child." The public humiliation. Emma felt the world tilt beneath her feet. This couldn't be real. This had to be a nightmare. "You're lying," she breathed. "Both of you are lying." "Tell her," Sophia said to Marcus, her voice dripping with satisfaction. "Tell her how we laughed about her every night. Tell her how boring you found her. Tell her how you only chose her because she was plain and convenient." Marcus shrugged. "She's right, Emma. You were safe, predictable. My parents loved you because you were controllable. But Sophia? She's exciting. She's passionate. She's everything you're not." Emma's legs nearly gave out. She grabbed the doorframe for support. "How could you do this to me? I planned this entire wedding myself. I worked day and night to make everything perfect." "And it will be perfect," Marcus said coldly. "Perfectly humiliating for you. Do you really think we were going to let you walk down that aisle? We wanted everyone to see what a fool you are." The breaking point. Before Emma could respond, the door burst open. Marcus's mother, Catherine Wellington, swept into the room. Her expensive perfume filled the air as she looked at Emma with icy disdain. "Oh good, you told her," Catherine said casually. "Emma dear, surely you didn't think my son would actually marry someone like you? You're a wedding planner from a middle-class family. The Wellingtons have standards." Emma felt hot tears pouring down her face. "You all knew?" This whole time? Of course we knew, Catherine replied, examining her perfectly manicured nails. Marcus told us months ago. We simply waited for today to make it more memorable. Consider it a lesson, know your place. Outside the room, Emma could hear the wedding guests gathering. 300 people were waiting to witness her marry the man she loved. The man who had just destroyed her completely. Sophia walked over to Emma, her belly slightly rounded beneath her dress. By the way, thank you for planning such a beautiful wedding. Marcus and I will use all these arrangements when we get married next month. You saved us so much time and money. Something inside Emma snapped. Not into rage, but into cold, crystalline clarity. Get out of my way, Emma said quietly. The walk of shame. Emma walked out of the room with her head high, even though her entire body was shaking. She could hear Marcus and Sophia laughing behind her. Her mother rushed toward her in the hallway, concern written across her face. Emma, sweetie, what's wrong? The ceremony is about to start. There won't be a ceremony, Emma said, her voice hollow. Marcus has been cheating on me with Sophia. She's pregnant. They plan to humiliate me in front of everyone. Her mother gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Emma's father appeared, his face darkening with anger. That boy will regret this, he growled. I'll destroy him. No, Dad, Emma interrupted. Her voice was eerily calm now. Let them think they've won. She walked toward the main hall where all the guests waited. As she appeared in the doorway, whispers began immediately. Her makeup was ruined, her eyes red and swollen. Everyone could see something was terribly wrong. Marcus appeared behind her with Sophia on his arm, both of them smiling cruelly. Ladies and gentlemen, Marcus announced loudly. I'm afraid there's been a change of plans. I won't be marrying Emma today. You see, I've realized I'm in love with someone else, Sophia, Emma's best friend. We're expecting a child together. The vow of vengeance. The room erupted. Gasps, shocked exclamations, and furious whispers filled the air. People pulled out their phones, recording everything. Emma stood frozen as her world crumbled around her. Some guests looked at her with pity. Others with curiosity. A few with barely concealed schadenfreude. Catherine Wellington stood with her wealthy friends, smiling as if this was all according to plan. These things happen, she said loudly enough for Emma to hear. It's better Marcus discovered the truth before binding himself to someone so beneath him. Emma felt her father's hand on her shoulder, her mother's arms trying to pull her away. But she stood there for one more moment, looking at Marcus and Sophia. They thought they had broken her. They thought she would crumble and disappear. Instead, Emma spoke. Her voice was quiet, but in the shocked silence, everyone heard her. You're right, Marcus. You're absolutely right. You deserve someone like Sophia. And I deserve so much better than you. But here's what I want you both to remember, you didn't break me. You freed me. And one day, sooner than you think, you'll regret that you ever underestimated Emma Carter. She turned and walked out of the Grand Rose estate with her head held high. Behind her, she could hear the chaos growing. Arguments, accusations, the Wellingtons trying to control the narrative. But Emma didn't look back. 3 months later, the transformation begins. Emma sat in a small coffee shop in Seattle, 3,000 miles from her hometown. She looked nothing like the broken bride who had walked out of that wedding. Her long hair was cut into a sleek bob. She wore a sharp business suit instead of her usual soft dresses. And her eyes, once warm and trusting, now held a steely determination. Her phone buzzed. Another message from her mother asking when she was coming home. Emma ignored it, focusing instead on her laptop screen. She had spent the past 3 months reinventing herself. She'd taken online courses in business management, studied corporate strategy, and networked relentlessly. The old Emma who planned dream weddings was gone. The new Emma was going to build an empire. Is this seat taken? A deep voice asked. Emma looked up to see a tall man standing beside her table. He was probably in his mid-30s, with dark hair and intense gray eyes. He wore an expensive suit and carried himself with the confidence of someone used to getting what he wanted. "It's a free country," Emma replied coolly, returning to her laptop. The man sat down anyway, studying her with interest. "You're reading corporate acquisition strategies at a coffee shop on a Saturday morning. Either you're the most dedicated student I've ever seen, or you're planning something big. And you're interrupting a stranger's work, which means you're either incredibly rude or incredibly confident. Which is it?" "Meeting Adrian Blackwood." The man smiled, a real smile that reached his eyes. "Adrian Blackwood. And I'm confident because I recognize a kindred spirit when I see one." Emma had heard that name before. Adrian Blackwood was the CEO of Blackwood Industries, a massive corporation that had risen from nothing in just 5 years. He was known for being ruthless, brilliant, and mysterious. "Emma Carter," she said, finally looking at him properly. "And what exactly do you think you recognize in me, Mr. Blackwood?" "Someone who's been hurt badly and is determined never to be hurt again," Adrian said quietly. "Someone who's building armor out of ambition. Someone who wants revenge but is smart enough to be patient about it." Emma's hand tightened on her coffee cup. "That's quite the assumption to make about a complete stranger." "I'm right though, aren't I?" Adrian leaned forward. "I can see it in your eyes." "I know because I had the same look 5 years ago when my business partner betrayed me, stole my ideas, and left me with nothing. The world thought I was finished. But I rebuilt. And when I was ready, I took back everything he stole and more." "Why are you telling me this?" Emma asked suspiciously. "Because I've been watching you for the past hour. The way you study, the intensity in your eyes, the determination in every movement. You remind me of myself. And I think I can help you." An unexpected offer. Emma should have walked away. She should have told this stranger to leave her alone. But something about Adrian Blackwood intrigued her. Maybe it was the understanding in his eyes. Maybe it was the fact that he seemed to see right through her carefully constructed walls. "Help me how?" she asked carefully. "I'm looking for a special kind of consultant," Adrian explained. "Someone brilliant, hungry, and willing to learn. Someone who thinks differently because they've seen the dark side of people. I'll pay you well, teach you everything I know about business, and give you the tools you need to achieve whatever you're planning. And what do you get out of it? A talented employee. And the satisfaction of helping someone get their life back. Call it paying forward the help someone once gave me." Emma studied his face, looking for deception or ulterior motives. But Adrian Blackwood looked completely sincere. More than that, he looked like he understood exactly what she was going through. "I want revenge," Emma said bluntly. "On the man who humiliated me, the friend who betrayed me, and the family who mocked me. I want them to regret ever underestimating me." Adrian nodded slowly. "Revenge is a powerful motivator. But let me give you some advice: the best revenge isn't destruction. It's becoming so successful that they become irrelevant. Building something so impressive that they realize exactly what they lost." "That's easy to say when you're already a billionaire," Emma said bitterly. "I wasn't always a billionaire. 5 years ago, I was sleeping in my car and eating ramen noodles for dinner. But I had a plan, and I had the determination to see it through." "You have that same fire, Emma. I can see it. The question is, are you brave enough to let someone help you channel it? A new beginning." Emma closed her laptop slowly. 3 months ago, she had been a naive woman who believed in true love and happy endings. That woman was gone forever. In her place was someone harder, smarter, and determined to never be a victim again. "What exactly would this job entail?" she asked. "You'd work directly with me on special projects. Corporate strategy, competitor analysis, acquisition planning. I'd teach you how the business world really works, not the fairy tale version they teach in business school, but the real version." And in your free time, you'd be free to pursue your own goals. My own goals being revenge. If that's what you want. Though I suspect that once you start building something real, revenge will seem less important. Adrian pulled out a business card and slid it across the table. Think about it. But Emma? I'm only making this offer once. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., my office. If you show up, we have a deal. If you don't, I'll wish you luck and we'll never speak again. He stood to leave, then paused. For what it's worth. Whoever hurt you was a fool. Anyone who underestimates Emma Carter is going to regret it someday soon. The decision. After Adrian left, Emma sat alone with her thoughts. Part of her was suspicious. She'd trusted before and been destroyed. But another part of her recognized opportunity when she saw it. Adrian Blackwood could give her the tools she needed to rebuild her life. That night, Emma looked at herself in the mirror of her tiny apartment. 3 months ago, she had run away from her hometown in shame. She'd cried herself to sleep every night for 2 weeks. She'd questioned everything about herself, her worth, her judgment, her future. But something had changed during those dark weeks. The pain had slowly transformed into something else. Determination. Anger. A burning need to prove everyone wrong. Marcus and Sophia thought they had broken her. Catherine Wellington thought Emma was just a poor girl who had reached too high. They all expected her to crawl back home, defeated and humiliated. Instead, Emma was going to rise. She was going to become everything they said she could never be. And when she was ready, she was going to make them all realize exactly what they had lost. Emma picked up Adrian's business card. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Her new life would begin. She looked at her reflection one last time. They wanted to destroy you, she whispered to herself. Instead, they created someone unstoppable. The transformation continues. Emma spent that night unable to sleep. She researched Adrian Blackwood extensively. Everything she found confirmed what he had told her. 5 years ago, he had been betrayed by his business partner, Nathan Cross. Nathan had stolen Adrian's technology designs and launched a competing company, leaving Adrian with nothing but debt. But Adrian had rebuilt methodically. He'd created Blackwood Industries from scratch, using his remaining connections and brilliant strategy. Within 3 years, he'd surpassed Nathan's company. By year 5, he'd acquired Nathan's company in a hostile takeover, fired Nathan publicly, and erased him from the industry. It was the kind of revenge Emma understood. Strategic, complete, and utterly satisfying. As dawn broke over Seattle, Emma made her decision. She put on her best suit, the one she'd bought with her last paycheck from the wedding planning company. She styled her hair carefully and applied makeup that made her look professional and confident. At exactly 9 a.m., Emma walked into the towering glass building that housed Blackwood Industries. The receptionist looked surprised when Emma gave her name. "Mr. Blackwood is expecting you," the woman said, her professional mask slipping slightly. "He doesn't usually take meetings on Sunday mornings. You must be very important." Emma rode the elevator to the top floor, her heart pounding. When the doors opened, Adrian was waiting for her in the lobby of his executive suite. "You came," he said, and Emma heard genuine pleasure in his voice. "I came," Emma confirmed. "I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to change. And I'm ready to show the people who hurt me exactly what a mistake they made." Adrian smiled and extended his hand. "Then welcome to Blackwood Industries, Emma. Your new life starts now." As Emma shook his hand, she felt something shift inside her. The broken bride was gone forever. In her place stood someone new. Someone stronger. Someone dangerous. Marcus, Sophia, and the Wellingtons had no idea what storm was coming their way. But they would learn soon enough. Emma Carter was done being underestimated. And Adrian Blackwood was going to help her make sure of it. Part 2, Rising from the Ashes. 6 months of transformation. Emma stared at her reflection in the floor-to-ceiling windows of her new office. The Seattle skyline glittered behind her like a promise. 6 months had passed since she'd walked into Blackwood Industries, and she barely recognized the woman looking back at her. Gone was the soft, romantic girl who planned dream weddings. In her place stood a sharp, calculating businesswoman who could negotiate million-dollar deals before lunch. Emma had absorbed everything Adrian taught her like a sponge desperate for water. Corporate strategy, hostile takeovers, market manipulation, competitive analysis, she'd learned it all. "You're thinking too hard again," Adrian's voice came from the doorway. He walked in carrying 2 cups of coffee, still in his suit despite it being 8 p.m. They'd been working together so long that late nights had become routine. "I'm thinking about Wellington Industries," Emma said, accepting the coffee. "Their stock price has dropped 12% in the last quarter." Adrian leaned against her desk, studying her face. "And this makes you happy? Is it wrong that it does?" Emma asked quietly. "Marcus's father built that company from nothing. Now it's struggling, and part of me feels satisfied." The mentor and the student. "Satisfaction is natural," Adrian replied. "But let me ask you something, is watching them fail enough? Or do you want to be the one who controls their fate?" Emma turned to face him fully. Over the past 6 months, Adrian had become more than just her boss. He was her mentor, her friend, and sometimes, when she caught him looking at her with those intense gray eyes, something else entirely that she wasn't ready to name. "I want control," she admitted. "I want them to know that I'm the reason their perfect world is crumbling. Then we need to be strategic." Adrian moved to the whiteboard in her office, the one they used for planning sessions. "Wellington Industries is vulnerable right now. Marcus has been making poor decisions since taking over more responsibilities from his father. But you can't just destroy them, that's too obvious, too emotional. What do you suggest?" "We build you up first," Adrian said, starting to sketch a plan. "Make you so successful that when you finally move against them, it's not revenge. It's just business. The difference is crucial, Emma. Revenge makes you look weak. Success makes them look foolish." Late-night revelations. Emma watched Adrian work, his intelligence and intensity evident in every movement. She'd learned so much from him, not just about business, but about herself. About how strong she could be when she stopped trying to please everyone else. "Can I ask you something personal?" Emma said suddenly. Adrian paused, marker hovering over the whiteboard. "Of course. When you destroyed Nathan Cross, when you took everything from him, did it make you happy?" Adrian set down the marker and turned to face her. His expression was unusually vulnerable. "Honestly? For about 5 minutes, yes. But then I realized something important. Destroying Nathan didn't heal what he'd done to me. It didn't give me back the 2 years I'd lost or repair the friendships he'd ruined. It was satisfying, but it was hollow. So I shouldn't go after Marcus and Sophia?" Emma asked, disappointed. "I didn't say that." Adrian walked over to stand beside her at the window. They were close enough that Emma could smell his cologne, something expensive and subtle. "What I'm saying is that when you finally face them, make sure you're doing it from a position of strength, not pain. Make sure you're doing it because you've moved on, not because you're still broken." "I'm not broken anymore," Emma whispered. "I know." Adrian's voice was soft. "I've watched you become one of the most formidable people I've ever met. You're brilliant, driven, and absolutely ruthless when you need to be. You've transformed yourself completely." Dangerous chemistry. Emma felt heat bloom in her chest at his words. She turned to look at Adrian and found him already watching her. The air between them suddenly felt charged, electric. "Adrian," she started, but her phone rang, shattering the moment. Emma glanced at the screen and felt her blood run cold. It was a number from her hometown. She hadn't received a call from there in 6 months. "I need to take this," she said, stepping away from Adrian. Emma Carter speaking. "Emma." Oh my God, Emma, is that really you? The voice belonged to Claire, another former friend from her wedding planning days. I've been trying to find you for months. Claire. What do you want? Emma's voice was cool, professional. I need to tell you something important. It's about Marcus and Sophia. Emma, everything has fallen apart for them. News from home. Emma felt her pulse quicken. What do you mean? Sophia left Marcus 3 months ago. Took the baby and disappeared. Turns out she was only with him for his money, and when she realized the Wellington fortune was shrinking, she bailed. Marcus is devastated. He's been drinking heavily, making terrible business decisions. His father is furious. Emma should have felt triumphant. Instead, she felt nothing. Or maybe not nothing, maybe just the faint echo of who she used to be, the girl who would have cared about Marcus's pain. Why are you telling me this? Emma asked. Because Marcus has been asking about you, Claire said hesitantly. He's been trying to find you. He told me he made a huge mistake. He wants to apologize, Emma. He wants you back. Emma laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. Marcus wants me back? Now that his perfect plan has fallen apart and his exciting girlfriend has abandoned him? How touching. Emma, I know you have every right to be angry. I'm not angry, Claire. I'm busy. Thanks for the update, but I've moved on. Tell Marcus that Emma Carter no longer exists. That girl died at the Grand Rose estate 6 months ago. Emma hung up before Claire could respond. A revelation. Adrian was watching her carefully. Bad news? Actually, Emma said slowly, it might be perfect timing. Marcus's life is falling apart. Sophia left him. Wellington Industries is struggling. And apparently, Marcus wants to apologize to me. How does that make you feel? Emma thought about it carefully. 6 months ago, this news would have sent her into an emotional spiral. Part of her would have wanted to comfort Marcus, to fix things, to be the person who saved him. But that Emma was gone. It makes me feel powerful, she said honestly. Because now I get to decide what happens next. Do I accept his apology? Do I ignore him? Do I use this opportunity to completely destroy what's left of his life? She smiled. For the first time, I'm the one with all the control. Adrian's expression was unreadable. And what do you want to do? The plan takes shape. I want to go back, Emma decided. Not as the broken bride who ran away. As Emma Carter, successful corporate consultant. I want to walk into Wellington Industries and show them exactly what they created when they tried to destroy me. You want revenge? No, Emma corrected. I want justice. I want them to see what they threw away. And I want to be the one who decides whether they deserve a second chance or complete destruction. Adrian nodded slowly. Then we'll make it happen. But Emma, you need to be prepared. Going back will stir up old emotions. You'll see Marcus, maybe Sophia, definitely his family. Can you handle that without falling apart? I won't fall apart, Emma said firmly. I'm not that girl anymore. You helped me become someone stronger. You helped yourself, Adrian said softly. I just gave you the tools. Everything you've become, that's all you, Emma. Their eyes met again, and Emma felt that dangerous chemistry crackling between them. Over the past 6 months, she'd tried to ignore her growing feelings for Adrian. He was her boss, her mentor. Getting involved with him would be complicated and messy. But God, the way he looked at her sometimes made her want to take that risk. A dangerous attraction. Emma, Adrian said, his voice rougher than usual. I need to tell you something. What? Us working together so closely, it's getting harder for me. He ran a hand through his hair, a rare sign of uncertainty. I hired you because I saw potential. But somewhere along the way, it became more than that. Emma's heart pounded. Adrian. Let me finish, he interrupted gently. You're brilliant, beautiful, and stronger than anyone I've ever met. And I'm falling for you. I've been falling for you for months. But I don't want to take advantage of our professional relationship. I don't want to be another man who hurts you or uses you. Emma stepped closer to him, her pulse racing. What if I'm falling for you too? Then we're both in dangerous territory, Adrian murmured. Because once we cross this line, there's no going back to being just colleagues. Maybe I don't want to go back, Emma whispered. Adrian's hand came up to cup her face, his thumb brushing her cheek in a gesture so tender it made her breath catch. You're sure? Because Emma, I need you to understand something. If we do this, if we become more than friends and colleagues, I'm all in. I don't do casual. I don't do temporary. Neither do I, Emma said. Not anymore. I've learned that lesson. The first kiss. Adrian leaned down slowly, giving her every chance to pull away. But Emma didn't want to pull away. She wanted this, wanted him, with an intensity that surprised her. When their lips finally met, it was nothing like the kisses she'd shared with Marcus. Those had been sweet and safe and ultimately hollow. This was fire and passion and the meeting of two people who truly understood each other. Adrian kissed her like she was precious and powerful all at once. His hand slid into her hair while his other arm wrapped around her waist, pulling her close. Emma melted into him, her hands gripping his shoulders as everything else faded away. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Adrian rested his forehead against hers. I've wanted to do that for 3 months, he admitted. Only 3? Emma teased, her voice breathless. I've been thinking about it for 4. Adrian laughed, a real, warm sound that Emma had rarely heard from him. We should probably talk about what this means. It means we're together, Emma said simply. It means I trust you, Adrian. Not because you've never hurt me, but because I've watched you for 6 months and I know the kind of man you are. You're honest, loyal, and you actually see me as an equal. A new partnership. You are my equal, Adrian said seriously. Actually, you're becoming more than that. You're becoming extraordinary, Emma. And I want to be beside you when you go back to face Marcus and his family. Not as your boss or your mentor, but as your partner. Partner, Emma repeated, testing the word. She liked how it sounded. I like that. They talked for hours that night, sitting in Emma's office as the city lights twinkled around them. They talked about their childhoods, their dreams, their fears. Adrian told her about the loneliness of building his empire alone. Emma told him about the shame she'd felt running away from her hometown. You didn't run away, Adrian corrected gently. You made a strategic retreat. You regrouped, trained, and prepared for the next battle. That's not cowardice. That's intelligence. As dawn broke over Seattle, Emma felt something shift inside her. For 6 months, she'd been building armor, preparing for revenge, transforming herself into someone capable of destroying her enemies. But sitting here with Adrian, his arm around her shoulders, his belief in her absolute and unwavering, Emma realized something important. She didn't want revenge to define her. She wanted success to define her. She wanted love to define her. She wanted this new life, this new version of herself, to be about what she was building, not what she was destroying. Planning the return. Over the next 2 weeks, Emma and Adrian planned her return to her hometown. But the plan evolved. Instead of sneaking back for revenge, Emma would return as the keynote speaker at the Regional Business Summit, the same summit where Marcus's father, Richard Wellington, was scheduled to present. It's perfect, Adrian said, reviewing the details. You'll be on stage, talking about transformation and success. You'll be introduced as my company's rising star. And Marcus will be in the audience, watching the woman he threw away shine brighter than he ever imagined. What about Sophia? Emma asked. I've been doing some research, Adrian said carefully. She's back in town, trying to get back together with Marcus. Apparently single motherhood wasn't as glamorous as she thought. Emma felt a flash of anger, but it was distant now. Controlled. Let me guess, she wants his money again? Probably. But here's the interesting part, Marcus has been telling people he made a mistake with you. He's been saying that you were the best thing that ever happened to him. Too little, too late, Emma said coldly. Adrian studied her face. You're sure? Because if any part of you still loves him. I don't, Emma interrupted firmly. I loved who I thought he was. But that person never existed. Marcus showed me his true self that day at the wedding. I believe him. Unexpected doubts. But that night, alone in her apartment, Emma felt a whisper of doubt. What if going back opened old wounds? What if seeing Marcus made her remember all the good times, all the reasons she'd loved him? She called Adrian without thinking about the late hour. Emma? What's wrong? He sounded alert immediately. I'm scared, she admitted. What if I go back and I'm not as strong as I think? What if I see Marcus and I fall apart? Then I'll be there to catch you, Adrian said simply. Emma, you're not alone anymore. You have me. You have the skills you've developed. You have the success you've earned. But most importantly, you have yourself, the real you, the strong you. That girl who got humiliated 6 months ago. She was never weak. She was just unprepared. And now? Now you're ready for anything. But Emma, if you decide you don't want to go back, if you decide that moving forward is better than looking back, that's okay too. You don't owe anyone your presence or your forgiveness. The decision. Emma thought about his words for a long moment. She could stay in Seattle, continue building her career with Adrian, and let Marcus and Sophia fade into irrelevance. Part of her wanted exactly that, to never think about them again. But another part of her needed closure. Not revenge, exactly. But a moment where she could stand in front of everyone who had doubted her and show them exactly what they'd lost. Not because she needed their approval or validation, but because she wanted to prove to herself that she'd truly moved on. I'm going back, Emma decided. Not for revenge. Not even really for closure. But because I want to show that girl from 6 months ago, the one who ran away crying, that she survived. That she's thriving. That they didn't break her. Then we'll do it together, Adrian promised. 2 days before the business summit, Emma returned to her hometown for the first time in 6 months. Adrian came with her, both as her colleague and her partner. They checked into the best hotel in town, ironically, the same hotel where Marcus had held his bachelor party. Emma stood at the window of their suite, looking out at the familiar skyline. So much had changed. She had changed. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I heard you're back in town. Can we talk? Please, Emma. I need to explain. Marcus. The first contact. Emma showed the text to Adrian. He doesn't waste time. What do you want to do? Adrian asked, wrapping his arms around her from behind. I want to make him wait, Emma decided. Let him wonder. Let him worry. Let him feel a fraction of the uncertainty I felt when my world fell apart. That's my girl, Adrian murmured against her hair. That evening, Emma and Adrian had dinner at the most exclusive restaurant in town. Emma wore a stunning red dress that cost more than her entire wedding dress had. She looked powerful, successful, and completely over her past. And of course, Marcus was there. He was sitting at a corner table with his father, Richard Wellington, clearly discussing business. Emma watched Marcus's face as he saw her. Shock, recognition, disbelief, and something that looked like pain crossed his features in rapid succession. Emma turned away, focusing her attention completely on Adrian. She laughed at something he said, her hand resting on his arm, and she didn't look at Marcus again for the entire meal. The power shift. But as they were leaving, Richard Wellington approached their table. He looked older than Emma remembered, more tired. Emma, he said carefully. I'd heard rumors you were back. You look, well. Mr. Wellington, Emma replied coolly. I'm doing more than well. I'm thriving. His eyes shifted to Adrian, recognition dawning. Adrian Blackwood. I didn't realize you two knew each other. Emma is my most valuable consultant, Adrian said smoothly. And my partner. He emphasized the last word slightly, and Emma felt a rush of gratitude for his public support. Marcus appeared beside his father, his eyes fixed on Emma. He looked terrible, thinner, with dark circles under his eyes and the smell of alcohol on his breath even though it was only 8 p.m. Emma, Marcus breathed. You look incredible. Thank you, Emma said neutrally, as if he were a stranger giving her a compliment. Can we talk? Privately? I need to explain. There's nothing to explain, Marcus, Emma interrupted. What happened at our wedding was very clear. You made your choice. I've made mine. She took Adrian's hand and walked past Marcus without looking back, her head held high. The breaking point. Outside the restaurant, Emma finally let herself breathe. Her hands were shaking slightly. You did beautifully, Adrian said, pulling her into his arms. I'm so proud of you. He looked awful, Emma whispered. He deserves to look awful. He destroyed something precious because he was too stupid to recognize its value. That's on him, not you. Emma nodded, pressing her face against Adrian's chest. She felt his heart beating steadily, reliably. This was real. This was solid. This was what love actually felt like, safe and passionate and equal all at once. Tomorrow is the summit, she said. Tomorrow I give my speech. And show everyone who Emma Carter really is, Adrian finished. Not the girl who got left at the altar. Not someone's victim. But a successful, brilliant woman who built herself up from nothing. That night, Emma reviewed her speech one last time. It was about transformation, about using pain as fuel, about refusing to let other people's cruelty define you. It was honest and powerful and completely true. As she fell asleep in Adrian's arms, Emma felt peace settle over her for the first time in 6 months. Tomorrow would be her moment. Not revenge. Not vindication. Just truth. And the truth was simple, Emma Carter had survived, transformed, and thrived. Whatever happened next, she would face it from a position of strength, surrounded by people who truly valued her. Marcus and Sophia had tried to destroy her. Instead, they'd freed her to become someone extraordinary. Part 3, Love, Revenge, and Redemption. The morning of the summit. Emma woke up before dawn, her heart racing with anticipation and nerves. Today was the day. In just a few hours, she would walk onto that stage as the keynote speaker at the Regional Business Summit, and everyone from her past would see exactly what she'd become. Adrian was already awake, sitting by the window with his laptop. He looked up as she stirred, his face softening. Couldn't sleep? She asked. I wanted to make sure everything was perfect for today, he admitted. I've been reviewing the attendee list. Marcus will be there. Sophia somehow got an invitation as his guest. His parents. Most of your old friends from the wedding planning business. Everyone who watched you walk away in shame 6 months ago. Emma climbed out of bed and joined him at the window. The city was just beginning to wake up, soft light painting the buildings gold. I'm ready, she said quietly. For all of it. The calm before the storm. Adrian pulled her into his lap, wrapping his arms around her. I know you are. You're the strongest person I've ever met, Emma. But I need you to promise me something. What? Promise me that no matter what happens today, whether they apologize or attack, whether they beg forgiveness or try to hurt you again, you'll remember your worth. You'll remember that you don't need their validation or their approval. You're extraordinary with or without their recognition. Emma kissed him softly. I promise. And Adrian? Thank you for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. Always, he murmured against her lips. They spent the morning preparing carefully. Emma wore a tailored navy suit that screamed power and success. Her hair was styled sleek and professional. Her makeup was flawless. She looked like exactly what she was, a rising star in the corporate world. Adrian wore a charcoal suit and stood beside her, solid and supportive. They made a striking couple, two people who had survived betrayal and built something beautiful together. Arrival at the summit. The regional business summit was held at the Grand Pearl Hotel, the fanciest venue in town. As Emma and Adrian arrived, she saw familiar faces everywhere. Former clients who had pitted her. Other wedding planners who had whispered about her humiliation. And there, near the registration desk, Marcus's mother Catherine Wellington, holding court with her wealthy friends. Catherine saw Emma and her expression froze. Shock, confusion, and then something that looked almost like fear crossed her face as she took in Emma's transformation. "Emma Carter," one of Catherine's friends said loudly. "Is that really you?" Emma smiled, cool and professional. "Mrs. Morrison. How lovely to see you again. But you look so different. So sophisticated." "6 months in Seattle will do that," Emma replied smoothly. "Mrs. Wellington, I hope you're well." Catherine's face had gone pale. "Emma. I didn't expect to see you here." "I'm the keynote speaker," Emma said simply. "Didn't you check the program?" The first confrontation. Before Catherine could respond, Sophia appeared from the crowd. She looked tired, with a baby carrier strapped to her chest. The glamorous woman who had laughed at Emma's pain was gone, replaced by someone who looked exhausted and desperate. "Emma," Sophia said, her voice trembling. "Can we talk?" "I don't think we have anything to discuss," Emma replied coolly. "Please. I need to apologize. What I did to you was terrible. I was jealous and stupid and—" "Save it," Emma interrupted. "Sophia, you showed me exactly who you are. I believe you. And I've moved on. You should too." Sophia's eyes filled with tears. "Marcus told me you were back. He's been so depressed, Emma. He realizes what a mistake he made. We both do." Adrian stepped forward slightly, a protective presence beside Emma. Sophia's eyes widened as she recognized him. "Adrian Blackwood," she breathed. "You're with Emma?" "I am," Adrian said firmly. "And I'd appreciate it if you'd stop harassing my partner. Marcus appears." "Emma, please." Marcus's voice came from behind them. He pushed through the crowd, looking even worse than he had at the restaurant. His suit was rumpled, his eyes bloodshot. "I need to talk to you." Emma turned to face him, and for a moment, she saw her past and present colliding. This was the man she'd planned to marry. The man she'd loved with her whole heart. The man who had destroyed her in the cruelest way possible. But looking at him now, she felt nothing. No love, no hate, not even pity. Just a distant recognition of someone who used to be important but wasn't anymore. "Hello, Marcus," she said neutrally. "You look amazing," he said desperately. "I've been trying to find you for months. Emma, I made the biggest mistake of my life. Sophia and it was never real. She left me as soon as things got hard. But you were the one. You were always the one." "Was I?" Emma asked quietly. "Because 6 months ago, you told me I was boring. Predictable. Not exciting enough for you. The truth comes out." Marcus flinched. "I was an idiot. I was scared of commitment, scared of real intimacy. Sophia made me feel like I was rebelling against my parents' expectations, but what I really did was throw away the best thing in my life." People were gathering now, watching the drama unfold. Emma saw her former friends, old clients, business associates. Everyone who had witnessed her humiliation 6 months ago was now watching to see what she would do. "You want to know what's really funny, Marcus?" Emma said, her voice carrying clearly. 6 months ago, I would have given anything to hear you say these words. I would have forgiven you. I would have taken you back. I would have convinced myself that love meant accepting your cruelty and betrayal. Then forgive me now, Marcus begged. Give me another chance. Let me prove I've changed. Emma shook her head. But I've changed, Marcus. I'm not that girl anymore. You broke her. You humiliated her. You laughed while she cried. And in doing that, you set her free. Emma. Let me finish, Emma said firmly. You taught me something valuable. You taught me that I was basing my worth on other people's opinions. I thought if you loved me, I must be lovable. If your family accepted me, I must be acceptable. But you know what? I don't need your love to be worthy. I don't need your approval to be valuable. I am enough all on my own. The public declaration. Marcus looked stricken. So that's it? You're just going to walk away? No, Emma corrected. You walked away 6 months ago. I'm simply not chasing after you anymore. There's a difference. She turned to Adrian, who was watching her with pride and love written across his face. This is Adrian Blackwood. He's brilliant, kind, and he's never once made me feel small or worthless. He sees my strength instead of my weaknesses. He celebrates my success instead of fearing it. That's what real love looks like, Marcus. And I'm sorry you'll never understand that. The crowd erupted in whispers. Catherine Wellington looked like she might faint. Sophia was crying openly. And Marcus just stood there, the full weight of what he'd lost finally hitting him. You'll regret this, Marcus said, his voice turning bitter. When your little romance with Blackwood falls apart, when you realize you were just his rebound or his project. Careful, Adrian said, his voice deadly quiet. You're talking about the woman I love. The woman I plan to marry, actually. So I'd suggest you think very carefully before you say anything else. The proposal. Emma's heart stopped. She turned to Adrian, shocked. What? Adrian smiled, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. I was planning to do this after your speech, but apparently Marcus forced my hand. He opened the box to reveal a stunning diamond ring. Emma Carter, you're the bravest, strongest, most incredible person I've ever met. You've transformed yourself, built a career, and most importantly, you've learned to value yourself. I love you. Not because I want to fix you or save you, but because you're already perfect exactly as you are. Will you marry me? The entire lobby had gone silent. Everyone was watching, waiting. Emma looked at the ring, then at Adrian's face. 6 months ago, she'd been about to marry Marcus for all the wrong reasons, because she thought she needed him, because she wanted to please his family, because she was afraid of being alone. But this? This was different. Adrian wasn't asking her to change or diminish herself. He was asking to be her partner, her equal, her teammate in building a life together. Yes, Emma said, her voice clear and certain. Yes, I'll marry you. The perfect moment. Adrian slipped the ring onto her finger and kissed her as the crowd erupted in applause. It was nothing like her previous engagement. There was no performative romance, no trying to prove anything to anyone. Just two people who genuinely loved and respected each other, making a commitment based on truth. When they broke apart, Emma saw Marcus's face. He looked destroyed, finally understanding exactly what he'd lost. Congratulations, Marcus said bitterly. I hope you'll be very happy together. We will be, Emma replied simply. Because our relationship is built on honesty and respect. Two things you never offered me. As Marcus walked away, shoulders slumped in defeat, Emma felt the last piece of her old pain fall away. She'd won. Not because she'd destroyed Marcus, but because she'd rebuilt herself into someone who didn't need his validation. The keynote speech. An hour later, Emma stood backstage waiting to be introduced. Her heart was pounding, but it was excitement now, not fear. Adrian squeezed her hand one last time. "You've got this," he whispered. "Go show them who Emma Carter really is." The moderator's voice boomed across the auditorium. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our keynote speaker. She's a rising star in corporate consulting, having helped transform multiple struggling companies in just 6 months. But her own story of transformation is even more impressive. Please welcome Emma Carter." Emma walked onto the stage to applause. The auditorium was packed. She could see Marcus in the third row, his father beside him looking confused. Sophia was in the back, crying. Catherine Wellington sat near the front, her face a mask of shock. But Emma didn't focus on any of them. She focused on Adrian, sitting in the front row, giving her a smile that said he believed in her completely. The speech that changed everything. "Good morning," Emma began, her voice steady and strong. "6 months ago, I experienced the worst day of my life. I was publicly humiliated, betrayed by people I trusted, and left feeling worthless. Many of you in this audience witnessed that day. Some of you pitied me. Some of you gossiped about me. Some of you even laughed." The room went silent. People shifted uncomfortably in their seats. "I don't blame you," Emma continued. "Watching someone else's pain is easier than facing your own. And that day, I was the perfect cautionary tale. The naive girl who reached too high and got slapped back down." She paused, letting her words sink in. "But here's what no one tells you about hitting rock bottom: it gives you a foundation to build on. When you have nothing left to lose, you're free to become anyone you want. When everyone expects you to fail, success becomes even sweeter." The message of transformation. Emma clicked to her first slide, a quote from Maya Angelou. "Still I rise. That's what I decided to do. Not out of revenge, not to prove anyone wrong, but because I refused to let other people's cruelty define my worth." She talked about her transformation. About the painful weeks after the wedding when she couldn't get out of bed. About the moment she decided to change. About moving to Seattle, meeting Adrian, learning new skills, and rebuilding herself from the ground up. "I learned something crucial," Emma said, looking directly at Marcus now. "People who truly love you don't tear you down. They don't humiliate you for entertainment. They don't use your vulnerability against you. Real love builds you up. Real love celebrates your strength. Real love is a partnership, not a power play." The audience was completely silent now, hanging on her every word. So to anyone here who's experienced betrayal, who's been made to feel small, who's been told they're not enough, I want you to understand something. The person who hurt you didn't reveal your weakness. They revealed their own. Because it takes a weak person to destroy someone who loves them. The standing ovation. Emma finished her speech to thunderous applause. People stood, cheering. Some were crying. She saw several women in the audience nodding, clearly relating to her story. As Emma left the stage, she was immediately surrounded by people. Business cards, congratulations, requests for interviews. Everyone wanted a piece of her success now. But Emma made her way through the crowd to Adrian, who pulled her into his arms. "You were magnificent," he murmured against her hair. "We were magnificent," Emma corrected. "I couldn't have done any of this without you." As they started to leave, Marcus appeared one last time. He looked broken, truly understanding what he'd lost. "Emma, wait," he said desperately. "I know I don't deserve it, but can you ever forgive me?" The final confrontation. Emma stopped and turned to face him. This was the moment she'd been both dreading and anticipating. The final confrontation. "Can I forgive you?" Emma repeated thoughtfully. "Yes, Marcus. I can. Not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace. Holding on to anger and pain only hurts me. So yes, I forgive you." Marcus's face lit up with hope. "Then maybe we can." "But forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation," Emma interrupted firmly. I forgive you for your sake and mine. But that doesn't change the fact that you showed me who you really are. And I believe you. You're someone who values superficial excitement over genuine connection. Someone who tears others down to build yourself up. Someone who doesn't understand real love. I've changed. Maybe you have. Maybe you haven't. But Marcus, that's not my problem anymore. You had the chance to love me when I was vulnerable and willing to give you everything. Instead, you destroyed me for fun. Now I'm strong and successful and genuinely happy. And you want me back? That's not change. That's just regret. True freedom. Marcus's face crumpled. So that's it? I just have to live knowing I had something perfect and I destroyed it? That's exactly it, Emma said without malice. But Marcus? I hope you learn from this. I hope the next woman you meet gets a better version of you. I hope you grow into someone capable of real love. Just not with me. She turned to leave, then paused. And Marcus? Thank you. For what? For setting me free. If you had married me like we planned, I would have spent my life trying to be enough for you. Trying to please your family. Trying to be someone I'm not. You saved me from that. So truly, thank you. Emma walked away, hand in hand with Adrian, leaving Marcus standing alone in the hallway. She didn't look back. She didn't need to. That chapter of her life was closed forever. Sophia's apology. Outside the hotel, Sophia was waiting with her baby. She looked desperate, broken. Emma, please. I know I don't deserve your time, but I need to say this. I was jealous of you. You had everything, Marcus's real love, his family's respect, a career you loved. I had nothing but my looks and my ability to manipulate. So I destroyed you to feel powerful. Emma looked at Sophia for a long moment. 6 months ago, this woman had been her best friend. They'd shared secrets, dreams, countless hours of laughter. But that friendship had been a lie. I forgive you too, Sophia, Emma said quietly. But I don't think I can ever understand why you did it. We were friends. I trusted you. I know. Tears streamed down Sophia's face. I destroyed the only real friendship I ever had because I was too broken to appreciate it. And now I'm alone with a baby, no money, and no one who trusts me. I got exactly what I deserved. I hope you find peace, Emma said sincerely. I hope you become the person you're capable of being. But Sophia? I can't be part of that journey. You hurt me too deeply. 1 year later, the perfect ending. Emma stood in a small chapel surrounded by wildflowers, wearing a simple white dress that made her feel beautiful without being ostentatious. Adrian waited at the altar, his eyes full of love and pride. This wedding was nothing like her first attempt. It was small, just close friends and family who genuinely loved them. No expensive venue, no elaborate decorations, no need to impress anyone. Emma's brother walked her down the aisle, tears in his eyes. I'm so proud of you, sis. You took the worst thing that ever happened to you and turned it into something beautiful. As Emma joined Adrian at the altar, she looked at the faces of the people who mattered. Her parents, glowing with happiness. Adrian's close friends from Blackwood Industries. Sarah from her Seattle office who had become a genuine friend. Marcus wasn't there. Sophia wasn't there. The Wellingtons weren't there. And Emma didn't miss any of them. Dearly beloved, the officiant began. Vows of truth. When it came time for vows, Adrian spoke first. Emma, a year ago I met a broken woman who was determined to never be broken again. I watched you transform yourself through sheer force of will and intelligence. But here's what you taught me, you weren't broken. You were just in pieces, waiting to be rearranged into something even more beautiful. I love you not because I fixed you, but because you fixed yourself and let me watch. I promise to be your partner, your equal, your biggest supporter for the rest of my life. Emma felt tears streaming down her face as she spoke her own vows. Adrian, you saw me when I was invisible. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. You taught me that love isn't about needing someone, it's about choosing them. Every single day, I choose you. Not because I have to, but because I want to. Because you make me better without making me smaller.